And now to kick off, we have Cheryl, a physiotherapist and stretching expert. Cheryl is a consultant physiotherapist in neuromuscular care at the clinic at Children's Hospital. She monitors motor skills, range of motion, and strength, and provides recommendations for exercises and supportive equipment to promote function and participation. So get ready, get set. Cheryl, come on up.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you all for coming to this stretching session. Instead of putting one person on the spot and having them and me demo those exercises, I'm going to put everybody on the spot. We're all going to do a very easy exercise flow together. So I hope you'll join me. So if you're, this is a sitting exercise. Sorry, I'm not moving my slides. I'm not sure how I do that. Thank you. So I just wanted to say that exercise, I think we all know that exercise is helpful. It promotes strength, flexibility, endurance, and balance, and it can have a positive impact on our daily lives. And there are some, research has shown the benefits of exercise for the general population and for people with disabilities in helping to reduce blood pressure, prevent or reduce obesity, reduces the risk of osteoporosis, heart disease, can help reduce anxiety, depression, and pain, and can improve your mental health and energy levels. So we know that there are benefits of exercise, and we know that many of these medical conditions are aspects of Duchenne. So let's get started. Let's stretch together. So we're going to be doing a seated exercise, and I hope you'll join in. You can just give yourself a little bit of space. There's no equipment needed. And I also will caution you that if you do have neck or back pain, please take it slow. We don't want anyone to be injured. I am going to be targeting the specific exercises that we definitely see are problematic and are at risk for getting tight with Duchenne's. And but this is just going to be a really simple flow. So please join with me. Go through this active range of motion exercise. I will give you some assistance with how you can help someone who can't do all of these motions on their own, as well as, so that it's going to be inclusive, as well as just go through your available pain-free range of motion, okay? The exercises shouldn't be painful, and they should be just nice and gentle. All right, so we're just going to start. Sit back and relax. And if you can, put your hand up on your chest, close to your heart, and on your belly. So we're just going to start with some breathing exercises. These are very simple. You're going to take a big, about a 4-second breath in through your nose and about a 5-second breath out through your mouth. So just feel your breath. Just helps you to become aware. Just feel where the chest is rising. Now I want you to try to really target, maybe try to do a bit more diaphragmatic breathing. So down where your hand is on your belly, see if your belly can rise when you take that next deep breath. So in through your nose, out through your mouth. Let's do another one of those. And then just experiment, see if you can now get that breath to concentrate in the back chest wall, back where your ribs are. Going out. Let's do one more of those. I like breathing exercise. I find they help you to calm down, maybe get rid of all of those crazy thoughts that are going through your head. It's a nice way to just start and get into the mode for some exercise. So now we're just going to start with some finger exercises. So you're just going to try to stretch them out and make a fist. Certainly fingers can get tight in the non-ambulatory phase, Duchenne. So this is a nice way just to keep blood flow and range of motion to your fingers. And we're going to add in some wrist movement. You can bring your hands into a position of prayer. Another way to do that is to lean in on your wrists. So these are all some ways that you can do some self stretches. And if you're not able to do that, you can have someone assist you by just giving some gentle overpressure on your wrist. Give those wrists a nice stretch. Great. We're going to move on to our forearms. Another troublesome muscle can be your pronators that prevent you from turning your wrist up. So we're just going to try some active supination. Your hands can be on the table or they can be on your lap. Just try to stretch all the way open and up, and then just let them relax down. If you need some assistance, you can put your hands together and your stronger pronators can help stretch your weaker, tighter supinators. Again, this can be supported on the table. And if you need hand-on-hand support, I can't quite demonstrate this, but if you take sort of like a handshaking position and with the person you're helping, and you can just gently turn their wrist over and sustain that stretch. Yeah, and just hold the wrist and turn it over. In general, we're always recommending that stretches should be held for about 30 seconds, but in a sort of an exercise flow like this, you can, if you find one spot's a bit tight, you can concentrate on it a little longer, or you can move on to the next one. We're going to do some arm exercises. Just let your arms dangle with gravity. If you're able, bring your arms all the way up and give them a squeeze when they get to the top, sort of activate those muscles, and then bring them down, let them relax. Now this might be difficult for some, so you could bring your arms on a table and move them and slide them on a table. You could put some Kleenex or a cloth so that you reduce the resistance. So if you're unable to bring your arms against gravity, you can do it with gravity eliminated. Or someone can assist you and just bring you out to that available range of motion. Again, through the available pain-free range, you can always hold it at the point of stretch. Shouldn't be painful. And bring it back. Okay, those are for the arms, and you can just sort of maybe move your shoulders around, bring them up and down, and just relax. We're going to move on to the legs. So the muscle groups that we can get tight in the legs that we're focusing on as physiotherapists are often the plantar flexors, the hamstrings, the hip flexors, and the muscles on the side of your legs. So just start with some active motion, just like we did with our fingers. Just wiggle your toes. And if you can, move your feet in and out. We know in non-ambulant men, their feet might be stuck in this position, so just move where you have available range. If you have more range, you can move your feet up and down, or you could even use this position for stretching. So you can lean forward, you're getting a nice positional stretch on your ankles. If you have some tightness, you could always put a little binder and still get that pressure through your ankles. Or I had even a yoga block. If you're really good and you want to even increase that range, you can put your foot on a yoga block. Give yourself a positional stretch. And of course, you can do it on both sides. And the longer you hold it, you'll go 30 seconds, you could do a minute. We won't take that much time today. We're going to move on to our hamstrings. And an active range would be to bring it up to full extension and down. But if that's going to be too difficult, you can get a chair and put your foot up. You can do the active, you can continue to do the active, or you can just lean in and give yourself a nice long hamstring stretch. But in this position, try not to really flex over, try to keep your back straight and just ease into it. It's a nice, gentle stretch. And if you're really comfortable like that, you can bring both legs up. And this is what we call long sitting. And you can do this with AFOs on to get a really nice stretch. And this one you can do probably for a longer period of time at home, maybe watching TV, playing video games. It's a nice positional stretch that we'll talk about a little bit later. And I'm going to continue to move because we're just doing this as a short session today. We're going to move to our hips. Again, we can't really address hip flexors when we're sitting. We're going to try to work on these long, IT band. This one might be a little bit more challenging, trying to kind of get your foot up and crossing over. Again, this one might be better to be done more on the mat. You can cross your leg over. And you might find it easier if you also bring your leg down into what they call a figure 4. And then this one you'll start to feel when you lean forward. It'll probably get you right back, gets me anyway. So just lean into that nice and easy. And you can, when you're ready, you can come out of that, try the other side. Again, you can try the crossing the leg one. Again, I think that one will be the most challenging. Or you can bring your leg down and kind of lean into it. And again, you might feel some stretch, but it should feel generally good. Of course, I think it feels good. I'm a physio. Then come on out. Now we're just going to try to do some trunk stretches. So if you can cross your arm over, bring your shoulder back and look over your shoulder. Give your trunk a nice stretch. We'll try that to the other side. This one would be hard to assist someone to do, so it would probably be best done, if you can't do it on your own, it would be best done on your bed. And we're just going to end with some more, well, you can move your head. I was going to say, if you couldn't move your whole body, you could just do some rotation with your neck. Still get a little bit of spinal rotation. And then I'm just going to get you to finish by doing a couple more of those deep breaths. Great. Give yourself a hand. You all did really well. Thank you for assisting me. I appreciate that. So that's just an example of a simple exercise flow that you could do. Some of those you could do on your own. Some of them you might need some assistance with. So what do the standards of care tell us about stretching and exercise in Duchenne? Well, they do focus on stretching, and I'm sure that that's what your healthcare team and your physiotherapist has been focusing on. You should be stretching, according to the recommendations, 4 to 6 times a week. That can be active range of motion or active assisted or passive stretching, just like some of the exercises we just went through, or you could be using tools such as a night splint. These are ones that we make at our facility, or this similar type of a design, which is more like a custom AFO. We have knee extension splints and a variety of different orthotics to help with positional stretches. As well, the standard of care talks about serial casting, which is a series of casts that are applied over 3 or 4 weeks to help gradually stretch the ankles out. Primarily, it's a stretch for ankles. Certainly, I only spoke about legs, but there's also hand and wrist splints. And then using equipment like a standing frame, which I think we're starting to promote more and more with our clinic, because standing frames are a great way for young boys who are in their late ambulatory or early non-ambulatory phase for some stretching, and it also can promote some good bone weight bearing. Other types of exercise and activity that are recommended are submaximal exercise. So we don't want to work to exertion. A good test is the talk test. When you're exercising, can you carry on a conversation? So you know you're not working to your maximum levels, and avoiding eccentric and high resistant exercises. So an eccentric contraction is when the muscle is working, but it's working as the muscle's lengthening. So if I was lowering a heavy barbell or a heavy box. And those are not recommended because they can cause more damage to the muscles. And so they're really challenging to work your muscles in one way and not the other way. So it's really just avoiding those really high resistance exercises, avoiding overexertion, and then always keep rest and energy conservation in mind. So for example, if you're going to the park to play, you might want to take a wagon or a stroller or your wheelchair on the way to the park, get to the park, have fun, expend all your energy, and then on the way home, rest and come back in your mobility device. The standards of care have been republished in this guide for families, which I know that I posted in my presentation, and this is the website that you can find it at. And we'll just briefly go through the different types of exercise. So 4 different types: flexibility, stretching, range of motion. As we mentioned, or as we were able to demonstrate, that can be done with active exercise, can be done with passive exercise, can be done with positional exercise. In general, we recommend that you hold the stretches for 60 seconds or 30 seconds, then repeat them 2 to 3 times. Again, they should be comfortable through your pain-free available range. Aerobic and cardiovascular exercise becomes more and more challenging. It's a lot easier in the early diagnostic or early ambulatory phase when children are able to go out and play at their own rate. So we often are recommending more biking or swimming or adapted sports in the later ambulatory and early non-ambulatory phases. I have some resources to talk to you about in those areas. And there was just 2 research studies I thought I would highlight, in that there was a study with power wheelchair soccer in 2016 by J.P. Barfield, who had 30 participants who were wheelchair users, and they were a mix of different diagnoses. Of those, 34 were deemed to have types of muscular dystrophy, which was unspecified, and 11 had SMA, spinal muscular atrophy. And they found that power wheelchair soccer provided light intensity exercise based on their oxygen consumption and energy expenditure. So even doing power wheelchair sports can add to your cardiovascular health. As well, there was a study about with stationary bicycles where they were motor assisted. This was done in 2013 with Meryl Jansen, and there was 30 boys with DMD who were in their late ambulatory or early non-ambulatory stage, and they were exercising for 15 minutes, actually exercising for 30 minutes a day, 15 on a hand cycle device and 15 on a stationary legs cycling device. And they tested them pre and post exercise. They exercised 5 times a week for 24 weeks. And they found that their motor function skills remained stable compared to the controls who had some decline. So there is some small evidence that exercising may help to maintain or slow the progression of muscle weakness. When we talk about strengthening, we're talking about using your own body weight and not lifting heavy weights. We talked a little bit about that. And then balance training. Balance training is pretty complex and beyond the scope of this discussion, but you can certainly do safe balance training in sitting, on therapy balls. So there are ways to do some balance training and maintain some of your core strength. We all know that we need to exercise, and we all know that it's hard to exercise. We all know it's good for us, but somehow we can't do it. Canadian and American standards suggest that we should be exercising 150 to 180 minutes per week. And I think that that's challenging for most of us. So here are some tips. Try to keep it simple. Try to create a schedule. Make a date with yourself. I said 3 to 4. I should have put 4 to 6 because that's what the standard of care says. But set it in your calendar and make it a date. Make it a priority. Find a workout buddy. Maybe you have a friend who wants to exercise and you can FaceTime with them and do your exercises together. Always make it fun. Do something you enjoy. If you didn't like it, you're not going to want to do it. So try to keep it fun, keep it light, add some favorite music, dance, try something new. And then I said, just do it. You know, this morning I did my yoga. I wasn't going to, I had other priorities, but then I thought, no, I really should do it. So keep at it, keep trying. There are some video resources available to you. I know that during the pandemic, many people were working from home and finding a lot of home exercise programs on different platforms. This is an exercise program that has been designed specifically for boys with DMD, and it features boys with DMD. This is physiotherapist Dr. Tina Duan. She developed this probably about 10 years ago. This is on the YouTube site, and she goes through all of the exercises that you are passively, and then at the end of the video, there are 4 or 5 boys actively involved in this exercise program, so you can exercise along with them. A lot of them are self-stretches. They are doing the exercises 4 times for 30 seconds. There's a timer, so you can exercise along with them if that's your bag. As well, I found these really good exercise videos on Duchenne Therapy Network. Janice Wallace Valdez has her own business in Texas, and she's developed a number of really excellent video blogs, and she goes through all of the passive stretches that we routinely teach in clinic for the hamstrings, for the heel cords. So check those out. That's her website. She's also developed these 2 resources, which I added to your package, and they're very self-explanatory. They have really good pictures. Again, if you have any questions, bring these to your physiotherapist and ask them to demonstrate them with you or your child. But I found these to be comprehensive and very clear and easy to understand. She also developed a pool activity sheet, and she has a video on swimming on her website. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about adapted bikes. I was talking to one of our families here at the conference about e-bikes. On a personal note, I bought an e-bike. I love it. I call them super gears. E-bike you do need to cycle with, you do need to still propel, so you are getting exercise, but it's like having these super gears, so you're not working as hard. And Trivel is a Canadian company out of Quebec, and they now make these the e-Aztec, and they come in different sizes. They are not inexpensive. All e-bikes are expensive, but they are. They often have a multiple sizing so that they do last long and are very durable. And the 3 wheels make it sort of safety for balance. And on the right-hand side is a bike that we have a bike clinic at Thames Valley, and our technicians add on a standard bicycle, banana seat and robust stability wheels called Trivel actually makes them, or another company called Fat Wheels, and they can be found at fatwheels.com, also provide these wheels so that you can really focus on the riding and not have to really worry about the balance. So if you want more information about that, I'd be happy to give that to you. I included this handout. May sound a little bit kind of confusing because it's an exercise guide for people with myotonic dystrophy. The reason I included it, and that's the website, you can find it. Again, Dr. Tina Duan was instrumental in developing it. It has a really good resource just in general for exercise and exercising with a disability. It has also a number of really amazing links to home exercise programs. A lot of them might not be specific enough for people living with Duchenne, but they may be helpful to the general population, for caregivers. So I thought as well, it would be a really nice goal for us as a team of therapists across Canada to develop our own exercise guide for living with DMD. So that's sort of a PT goal. And then to conclude, I just want to say that exercise is for everyone. I've added a few helpful resources of my own personal choice. I like to exercise with Brittany Bryden. It's a free yoga channel. There's Cosmic Kids Guided Yoga and kids yoga stories that you can find online. And I added a personal favorite Instagram, mytrainer.phil. It actually is L, not 1, that's a typo. But again, of course, I don't want to make any inferences here. Defeat Duchenne Canada does not endorse any of these platforms. You should always check with your healthcare team before beginning an exercise program. And if you're living with DMD, you should consult your healthcare team and visit a physiotherapist and occupational therapist to develop an individual program for yourself. So thank you. That's all I have to share with you today. These are the references, and I welcome any questions.